There we go. Now it looks like I'm live. Awesome. Well, better late than never, everybody. Hopefully we can get some people in here. Looks like we got maybe one, but that could just be me. Who knows? Either way, this is gonna be the attempted live stream from the hotel parking lot. So, I hope everybody is having a great and wonderful night. Oh, T-Bone's here. What up, my man? What's up? By the way, I checked out some of those videos you put in my link, and they were very, very interesting. I'm not sure of why everybody calls them dragons, but either way, it was still interesting comment, buddy. So thank you for that. Gave me something to watch while I was driving up here to Tennessee for some training for work. Uh, But anyways, I'm gonna try to get some stories out. I'm not sure how well it's gonna go. I am tethered to my iPhone, to my laptop right now, in a parking lot of the hotel. So, will it work? I don't know. Really hoping. But either way, we'll give it a shot. Give it a shot. So, anyways, I'm trying to clear through all the stuff that is on my list of things that's happened before my main experience. Oh, that's nice. Gotta love the nightlife here in the parking lot. That's interesting. Anyways, so basically, y'all just be patient with me. I'm gonna try to keep an eye on chat and go from there. So T-Bone says, thank you. At first, the doctor thought they were dragonflies, but no, and he kept the name dragons. Ah, I didn't know if it was like some kind of like code or something like that for like radio chatter or whatnot. I know you can't see me. If I keep my camera off, I think it will last longer and my connection will be that much stronger. So tonight's probably just gonna be the talking spam can. So anywho, all right. So I left off talking to everybody about some of the stories that I grew up hearing from my family. So I'm going to share the stories that are the most interesting that I experienced before like my main events kicked off. So let me see here. Let me get it all queued up in my brain. And all right, I've got 4 I'm going to try to get to. So the first 2, kind of heavy. I don't know how many people are hearing it, or how many people are interested in hearing stories about demons, but that's where I'm gonna start off. So part of my past and present, I guess now, is I happen to have grown up Pentecostal. So that is my background when it comes to Christianity. That's the particular flavor that I am. So, speaking in tongues and running around and stuff like that. Fun stuff. No snakes. No snakes. Never got into that stuff. But I tell you what though, like whenever I would have friends stay the night and they'd have to go to church with me in the morning, if the Holy Spirit started moving at the end of the service, man, it was so funny. My friends would look like they were just ghosts, just petrified of what was going on. And my father he would love to walk up behind my friend and be like, "Hey, you ain't afraid of snakes, are you?" And man, you should see the looks on their faces when he would say that. Oh, it was so funny. So funny. But no, anyway. So demons, yeah. All right. So this first story I'm gonna talk about, it happened to a friend of mine. And if and once again, guys, if this isn't your cup of tea, you know, sorry, not sorry. It's real and it happened. So do with that what you want. But anyways, a friend of mine, I believe she was probably about 16 at the time. And I don't really remember the circumstances of everything that was going down, but typically in church, like the way that we knew like if somebody was like possessed is usually they would have some kind of like a loud outburst of something, typically during preaching or something like that. I guess the inner demon or whatever just couldn't handle hearing the word anymore. And usually they would like scream or start cussing real loud and then be crying unconsolably and just run out, right? So this happened to a friend of mine. She had a hard life. She was basically kind of only there because she was dating a friend of mine. And I think there was a background of probably some dabbling into things that she shouldn't have been dabbling in. But I mean, I don't know that ultimately, but those were kind of like the cues, right? So anyway, she had one of these outbursts and she didn't cuss the preacher, which is always good, but she just basically just started screaming unconsolably and crying and ran out of the sanctuary. So, you know, things go on inside and I go out to check on her just to see what was going on because, demons was not at the forefront of my mind. Honestly, I was just concerned for my friend. I was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" So, me and her boyfriend, I think, and another friend of ours that she actually knew and was close with went out to talk to her. And I don't remember the exchange of words because it was such a long time ago. I mean, I was probably 17, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, but I remember, the fits of crying and just acting just irrational. And so, all of a sudden we were getting that vibe of, I think there's some demons in here. So we start praying and it just gets worse and worse. I mean, thrashing about, threatening us, screaming, crying. I mean, she was a mess and it was definitely, the things that were coming out of her mouth was 100%, 100%. And you know, I don't know what was going on in the sanctuary at the time, but all of a sudden the pastor comes out and he was such a nice, calm, quiet, and meek person when he wasn't at the pulpit. And he just walks up with a big smile on his face with just nothing but love showing all over him. He's like, "Well, I guess it's time for some spiritual warfare, isn't it, boys?" Yeah, looks that way. And this is when the cussing does start to happen in a voice that was not of her own. So I remember he started praying for her, and then all of a sudden she just fell into the floor and was like, I mean, I guess you could say convulsing, but I mean, just thrashing about, like I said, speaking in a voice that's not our own, cussing us, screaming at us, and just crying our eyes out at the same time. So weird. But eventually, she started trying to lash out. So, it was up to us to hold her down while the demons were cast out. And then, basically, let me see. Let me try to remember how this all went down. What I recall from it is I'm holding on to her legs, and my friend Michael, who is her friend as well, is holding her down from the top, trying to keep her arms pinned. And Michael, if I remember correctly, was big, big boy. I mean, 350-pound, 6'7", 6'8", played as a lineman or a center or something like that. I can't remember. Either way, big dude. And it is taking all of his strength to keep her down. And I'm holding on to her legs. I'm not the biggest person in the world, but at that time, I was in great shape. I used to do MMA and stuff like that, so I was no slouch. I mean, I might not have been as big as Michael was, but I could hold my own. And let me tell you what, this little girl was throwing the both of us around like it was nothing. I mean, totally just a strength that was just not her own. It was insane. So now, the boyfriend's job at the time, the pastor had told him, go and get some napkins. These demons are fixing to come out. So he did. And eventually, they started being cast out. And he had to catch them in a napkin. So essentially, she threw them up, each one. And if I remember correctly, there was 10 that she threw up. And, when somebody throws up, you expect, chunks of food, water, you know, we've all been there. But no, it was a black goo each and every single time, 10 times. Threw up into a napkin. There was like a nasty old black goo. Did she smoke? Yes, I think so at that time. But I don't think smoker's lung could have caused this stuff. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But anywho, so yeah, that got took care of. They were all out, and the instructions given after the fact was for Michael to go and take them out into the parking lot and burn them. Because at this point, everything was honky dory. She was still crying a bit, but she was thankful, happy, relieved. The voices in her head were gone. And plus, I'm sure a little bit upset by the way she acted. But anyway, so I didn't get to watch and see what happened with the napkins that were burned. However, I was told by Michael that first of all, they were very hard to get set on fire. But once they did, everything burned up completely and utterly. And the fire was like greens and purples. And it sounded like the black goo itself was screaming as they were caught on fire. So how's that for an interesting story? Are there more details? Yes, but at the same time, it's kind of lost to the fog of time. The interesting takeaway though for me is one, keep in mind just the amount of strength that girl that maybe weighed 100 pounds had. And two, the demons taking the form of a black goo. I think that's interesting. I think that's very interesting. Thank you, T-Bone. Um, there's there's more. Um, like I don't know how to put this, but spiritual warfare was very common in that denomination. So I'm no stranger to it, and I've seen plenty of things, and I can't remember them all. It was such a common thing to see odd and crazy stuff happen. But always through the power of God, we came through it. But I'll share one more demon story that does stick out, and I'm going to tie back into it later on. So I want to make sure that I get this out there to you guys. So this actually happened to a girl that I was dating. She was my long time girlfriend of a couple years, and this is early on in our relationship. And just like me, she was a goth chick. Well, hold on, not just like me because I'm a dude, but you know what I mean. We're both goth, right? We all went through a phase, but I don't know that she was dabbling in anything. I think it was more of just a broken home type situation and being open to things. So I'm not sure. But anyways, as I recall, it was a youth service. It was great service. I do remember that. And when we were done, the lights had come on and everything, and we were chit chatting. And I remember looking at her because she said something to me, but I didn't hear it. Like it didn't, I don't know. It was like it was muffled, like it didn't register. And I turned to look at her and I said, "What?" And then she says it again, and I don't remember what it was. It was something kind of innocuous, but it still just wasn't clicking. It was like, "How are you feeling?" or "Are you okay?" kind of thing. Like that's what I think it was, but I don't know. Like I said, it just didn't connect. But maybe that's because I was freaked out by her face. I mean, she was beautiful at that time, but her face had contorted, and she had like this big Cheshire cat grin on her face that was just so unnatural and unnerving. And I was like, what? But the most disturbing part of it was the eyes. Her eyes were normally brown, but instead, they were like a cool crystal ice blue. Like, think about, let's see, like in Underworld, right? The vampires, when they start getting all vampire-y, their eyes are like that crystal white almost color blue. That was the color of her eyes now. And instead of, having a round pupil, they were slitted up like a cat. And I was just like flabbergasted because I mean, it just came out of the blue, was not expecting it. And I was just like, oh my God. And I started backing away. And I guess one of the leaders saw it, noticed it, and was like, okay, here we go again. Time for some spiritual warfare. And I don't know the reasoning behind it, but Her command was, "All right, I'm gonna need all the boys to leave the sanctuary. Girls, stay behind. It's time to fight some demons." And I remember, like, once she said that, my girlfriend at the time, like, ran to, like, essentially, like, the front of the sanctuary, which was the opposite end of where the leader was, just to try to get some distance. Yes, that is verticalize. Slit it up like a snake or a cat, whatever. And the cat part is what strikes me the most about it because as I was walking out of the sanctuary, I turned around just to look, and I kid you not, her body had finished contorting. And I remember her basically trying to get behind the drum set that was in the middle, going towards the left corner. And she was on all fours, not crawling. And I would say kind of like bear walking, I guess it's called, but not quite because her shoulders looked like they were completely dislocated. Like, okay, think of a cat. Like, just picture a cheetah. Okay, that's what's coming to my mind right now. So, Nat Geo, you're looking at a cheetah, and you notice how their shoulder blades are on the side of their body. Yes, like gliding. So they were like sticking straight up, like little triangles, like a cat. And like each step with her arms, you saw the triangle of her shoulder blade go up and down, and the other one go up. And it was graceful. I mean, it was just like I watched a human turn into a cat, but still look mostly human and hissing. And she was hissing. I mean, it was insane. I have never seen someone's body contort like that, not on any contortionist video or anything. I mean, this was 100% completely unnatural. So, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, definitely not natural. No, no, not, I mean, not natural for a person. Like a person's shoulders can't do that. Um, and, yeah, like I said, just, I mean, looked like a cat, walked gracefully on all fours like a cat. It was just weird. But, everything ended up being okay, got taken care of. I don't know if it was a black goose situation. I don't remember on that particular detail. I don't think so, but who knows? But she found deliverance and all was good. I do remember her, however, being pretty bruised up on her shoulders after that. So that certainly makes sense, you know. But I mean, if all you got from that was some bruising, I feel like you came out pretty well. So I mean, I guess the human body can take a lot of punishment. I don't know, but yeah. So that's the two demon stories that are worth sharing, and go on to some more lighter subject stuff. Am I still in contact? No, not really. Um, I mean, I could be, but yeah, long-term ex-girlfriend on my friends list on Facebook. Not sure that my wife would be down with that, but technically, I'm still very good friends with her best friend because she is her friend is the pastor's daughter of where I actually go to church at now. So, I mean, I could be in communication if I wanted. I'm not sure that I'm brave enough to have her come on as a guest and talk, though. I don't, I value my life and I do not wish for my wife to hurt me. So, I don't know that I can make that one happen, guys. I'm sorry. But, anyway, so a little bit more lighthearted stuff. So, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed those and maybe got something out of it. But, let's see here. So, I've often talked about UFOs and Fife, right? About the history. And actually, when I plan on doing that story, I am actually going to pull up the official storyline from Mr. Oliphant and read that to you guys before I tell my story. But we're not there yet. I'm hoping I can get my interview from Tom to come out before. That way, you guys have a chance to catch him first, and then you can hear it from the horse's mouth with just me. But, anyways, so Fife, lots of UFOs. And, despite the timeline of things, it never really stopped. It might have changed from UFOs to black helicopters a little bit, but there were still UFOs out there. So I remember I was still probably 17. It might have been 18. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember it was after band practice. I used to play the bass guitar in a metal band. And we're all hanging out outside after practice. And we look up and there's a light in the sky. And we're like, oh, look, it's a UFO. Well, Fife is just right next door. Like, oh, what happened all over, not just Fife. They just got all the publicity. Like, yeah, that's true. You really think it's a UFO, dude? I think it might be. They're like, you know what? It looks like it's over there towards Dawson. Or at least, wait, let me think. I think it was Dawson. Might have been Crossville. I don't remember exactly. Like, well, shoot, let's see if we can get closer. Like, okay, why? I don't know, clap some alien cheeks or something stupid. So we all get in the car and we go chase it down. And we get we're really close. Like, I feel like it's maybe, I don't know, a couple of pastures at most away from us. And then all of a sudden it just winks out of existence. And then it pops up a couple cities over. And we're all like dumbfounded. And we're like, oh my God, it just disappeared and reappeared. Let's go that way, see if we can catch it. Back then gas was cheap and didn't have anything else to do that Saturday night. So, all right, here we go. Let's go over. We go over. Same thing. Winks out, goes to another city. Or looks like it, would be above another city. Do it again. Rinse and repeat all night long. To the point where I was just like bored with it. Like, look, we're not going to catch it. It don't want to be caught. No alien cheeks to be had tonight, guys. Sorry. So, yeah, no alien cheeks. Not too crazy of a story, but it's still interesting. You know, the thing that I find striking about it, besides the whole disappearing and reappearing act, was the fact that it was like almost every single time I've ever seen a UFO, it's always been a ball of light. So, I don't know. I do know I gotta turn the air conditioning on in the car. It's getting a little chilly, so if you hear extra noise, sorry. All right, so the next story that I have planned for the night should be the final one, actually. 'Cause I don't think anything else crazy happened up until the main event and then all the cascade effect of that. But if you guys have heard me before, I'm often asked to tell the story. And so if you've seen me before on anybody's show, you've probably heard it. And thank you, T-Bone. I really appreciate that, buddy. I try. Um, so this next one is the funny Sasquatch story. So, how many details to give? Screw it. We'll just give all the details. Why not? All right. So, me and my, I guess you could say, basically adopted brother and roommate at the time, we are coming back from uh, essentially a weed run, and it's real late at night. It's probably, I don't know, 1:30, 2:30 at night, maybe later. I can't remember. But even though it was a weed run, sober, completely sober, had not partaken in anything. So, we're going back home. We're not far. And friend's got to pee. He can't hold it. I'm like, really, man? You can't hold it? We're like 10 minutes from home. Come on. Come on. It's like, dude, I can't. I'm about to just bust. Like, fine. We're in the middle of desolation. There's there's a couple of houses that are around in that area, but not many. So I'm gonna pull over. And the spot that I pull over, it's right before a little hot spot in my local area called Matheny's Bridge. Now, Matheny's Bridge has a long history of paranormal. I've had so many friends that have seen basically like a little girl dressed in white hanging on the side of the road in the area. Like I've had multiple people tell me that they've seen it. I've had friends that have been chased by, well, they described it as a ghost wolf. I don't know. The legend is basically that you're supposed to park in the middle of the bridge, turn your lights off, roll your windows down, and like blare music or whatever, and like disturb the surroundings or whatnot. And then either like the ghost girl will come out after you or something will, or she'll appear when you turn your headlights on. In their case, they got chased by what they said was a ghost wolf that ran through their car. I don't know. So there's that. Um, let's see here. Apparently, there's a story about a guy who wrestled a goat man, if I'm not mistaken. That's recorded in local legend for the area, and was able to overpower him through the name of Jesus, and basically was granted a wish like a genie. I think. I'm not sure. I'll pull the story up one day. We'll go over it. I'll pull it up, but not today because Wi-Fi and battery life on the laptop is limited. So let's see here. What else? There's like a weird energy there to where if you're underneath the bridge from the shore, because it is a place where the locals like to go and swim. Like it's very accessible. If you stand underneath the bridge on one side, if you throw a baseball straight across, that would go diagonally across the bridge. apparently there's an energy that sits in it that will slightly deflect the baseball away and make it curve away and never land straight. Let me think. There is recorded Sasquatch activity that dates back to the, I want to say, the 1850s, about the very first bridge that was there, and a guy going over it with a covered wagon, and basically like a, what they described as a big monkey swinging into the back of the wagon and stealing food, then jumping out after the dude was like beating on it with like a stick, and basically went to get his coach gun and handle it. So there's that. Also, I used to work with a guy who knew the owner of the property, because I mean, technically, the bridge itself and like the surrounding like little area is a landmark that's recognized by the state, but it's encapsulated basically by the man's land, if I'm not mistaken, the Matheny family or whatnot. I don't know. But anyways, it's never been opened up to go hunting on for like God knows how long, 100 years or something. But the guy I worked with knew them and was able to convince them to let his son go hunting on it. And his son, I think he was 8 or 9, shot a deer. It was the very first buck that's ever been recorded above a spike that had fangs, and made it, the picture of it got, and the story of it went in a bunch of deer hunting magazines, he was telling me. So I mean, I'm sure those resources are out there. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was an 8 point, but it might be more, it might be a little less. But either way, so that's interesting. There's a whole bunch of weirdness, is what I'm trying to say, that goes on in that area. And if I can ever get some folks to come out and hang out with me, that's where we're going to go looking for some squatches at, or what have you. But, anyways, so the weed run. So I'm pulled over, and it's right before the bridge. So he gets out of the car and starts to pee at the back of the car. And because I'm a jerk, I just start tapping on my brakes, just lighting them up. And he's over there, quit it, dude. I'm like, what do you got to be worried about? Ain't nothing there to show but anyway. Shut up, man. And I just keep on laying on the brakes, lighting them up. And then all of a sudden, he starts screaming bloody murder. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And he's like, essentially, picture it in your head. He's holding himself like sideways frog hopping to get back into the car, screaming his freaking head off. Finally makes it in the car, and he's just losing it. I mean, just losing it. Effing go, dude. Effing go. I'm like, what's wrong with you, you psycho? What's going on? And he's screaming. He grabs my hand, tries to get me to put the car into drive. I'm like, fine, 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 fine. We'll go. We'll go. So we start driving. And he's still screaming. I'm like, what is the issue? Why are you screaming still? What happened? Talk to me. He says, two things. One, I've zipped myself up and I'm bleeding everywhere. Guys, we know what that's like, right? We've all been there once in our life. I look over, sure enough, man, he's got blood all over the front of his pants. He got himself good. I'm like, oh no, brother. What's the second reason? He said, when you tapped your brake lights, I noticed that there was something standing in front of me. When you tapped your brake lights, its eyes lit up with the light and it was just two big glowing red eyes staring at me. And it was huge. Now my friend, he's 6'1", 6'2". He said this thing was way taller and way more like massive than him. I'm like, oh my gosh, what was it? When he says it, he's Sam Squatch, because he's from Michigan. So we saw Sam Squatch that night, I guess. Was it? I mean, I don't know. I didn't see it. I always call it Bigfoot by proxy just because I don't know what else is tall and massive like that. And, you know, there's that history. But was it? I don't know. Was it Mothman? Could have been. Could have been a dog, man. Could have been an alien. In quotations. Who knows? Who knows what it was? I have no earthly idea. But I think I can make that interview happen. So perhaps in the future, we will give it a shot. However, to get me back, as if this man could possibly still have any more pee in him, apparently there was. And guess who was not going to let me pull over? Mm-hmm. And I did not have a bottle for him. So his solution? Roll the window down, me go about 10 miles an hour, and him hang his half his freaking body out the window and pee. Yep, that happened. Peed all over the side of my car. But according to him, that's what I get for being a bad friend. So there's that. So, in my opinion, I feel like, that should be the extent of the weirdness that I should have encountered. Like that is more than enough for anyone. And things go quiet for a long time. Long time. I don't have any more issues until I start trying CE5 because I'm wanting to find answers. And that doesn't happen until the summer of 2014. So that would be 7, 8 years after this last incident. I mean, is there some small stuff in there? Maybe, but I can't remember. But yeah, that's the history before the main events start kicking in. So, I reckon that's all I got for you guys tonight. Is there any questions? I'm happy to answer any about what I can. Oh, we're doing the silent thing. All right. That's probably the lag on my end. But, anyways, to be honest, started a little late, and I am just surprised that podcasting like this even worked out at all. Like, I can't believe I have enough signal to actually make this happen. So, that's a plus. So, maybe, who knows how long I'll be here in old Lebanon, Tennessee. I don't know. Doing some Boilermaker training at the Weldon Boot Camp. Good times, good times. But perhaps I can keep this streak going for however long I'm here. Can't wait to be back at home, though, in my actual studio and sit down and do this stuff right, or try to. But either way. Well, guys, I think I need to probably call it a night. I got to transition over to getting ready to be on night shift. So even though I've been up since 4:30 this morning and have worked like a dog and sweated more sweat every single day for the past week than I ever have in my life. Somehow I've got to find the willpower to stay awake. So I think I'm going to go do some laundry. I think that's probably my plan to try to keep myself awake. And thank you, T-Bone. I really appreciate that, buddy. I really appreciate that, man. I'm trying. Normally I try a little bit better, but it's circumstances, you know. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope everybody, you know, found it entertaining. I hope there was, some information of, like within the stories that I'm relaying that maybe can help you with your research. I try to give all the details I can, all the details that I can remember, whether I'm allowed to remember it, like in the case of the CE5 stuff, or, just time, time and getting older. It'll make you forget some things. So, but yeah. So next time, I mean, regardless, next time we're going to go into the main event. Like I said, we're going to talk about the history of Fife, and I'll give you guys the official timeline of what happened out there, and then I'll tell you the real story of what actually happened, and then we'll get into my event. And yes, we'll go. You know what? I would love to go over the Bloodsoe case because it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to throw shade at anybody. I hope that family is blessed. I speak nothing but blessings over them, and I hope they come around. You got to try the spirit by the spirit. You can't believe everything that comes to you, no matter how beautiful and shiny it seems. I mean, just think about the description of the devil. He was the most beautiful creation of God, right? He was so prideful, wore the most beautiful shining stones all over himself to the point where when he walked, he made music. But now look at him. You know, you just gotta, you can't take everything at face value. That's just how it goes, you know? But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, no shade, no shade, nothing but prayers and blessings. But, anyways, guys, I love y'all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I hope everybody has a blessed day. Send me some emails. I'm Fisher of Spam at gmail.com. Send me an email. If you guys want me to tell your story, or you want to plan on a time where we can do a little discussion or an interview or heck, a round table, I'm happy. Reach out to me. We'll make it happen. Anyways, guys, be good. Love y'all. Peace.